ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय श्रीगौरप्रियमूर्तये श्रीमते भक्तिवल्लभा तीर्थगोस्वामिने नमः। यतीन्द्रियनमस्तुभ्यं गौरकृष्णप्रियात्मने रूपानुगगतिज्ञाय गुरुदेवाय ते नमः। पतितपावन परम करुणामय परमाराध्यतम शिल गुरुदेव नित्यलीला प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद श्री श्रीमद भक्तिवल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज जी के श्रीपाद पद्म में असंख्य कोट साष्टांग दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उनकी अहेतु की कृपा प्रार्थना करता हूँ। By the mercy of most revered Srila Guru Maharaj, we have been discussing here about the divine glories of the holy name. Yesterday, we tried to understand through the teachings of Srila Haridas Thakur that Srila Haridas Thakur, he says, what is the primary result of chanting the holy name? Because what those great scholars were proposing is actually the secondary result, but depending on the person, depending on the aspirant who surrenders to the holy name, and depending on his realization, it completely changes. So that's why what these people see as primary, but what Srila Haridas Thakur realized is totally different. So Srila Haridas Thakur, he is emphasizing, he is presenting this point by saying the primary result of chanting the holy name is to get the divine love and loving service in the lotus feet of Nandanandan Sri Krishna. And of course we heard further that when a person gives up all these kinds of considerations, worldly considerations and opinions, and then engaged constantly in chanting, singing, hearing the glories of the Lord under the shelter of pure devotees, what happens? He also enters in trance, in ecstasy. So sometimes he exhibits a wonderful activities like sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes shouting, singing, and so many different kinds of expressions. And now further it says, salvation or destruction of sins are just a secondary result of chanting the holy name. Means liberation, to get liberated from this world, to be free from this material world. And then not only that, and also destruction of sins. There are so many sins which we have committed or have been committing and shall commit. So it not only destroys the sins which we have committed in the past, which we are committing in the present, which we shall commit in the future. The word sin is completely eradicated from the life of a person. Where a person has this selfish mentality, me and mine, you and yours, there the result is definitely sinful. Even though it's a pious deed, ultimately it's a sin. How can a pious deed be a sin? Because it is not connected to the Supreme Lord. So whatever is not connected to the Supreme Lord, it's natural that it becomes sin. It's quite natural that it becomes sin. So that's why here, when we chant the holy name, what is going to be the result? The result is going to destroy all the sins and bestows liberation. But Srila Haridas Thakur, he says, it's nothing but a secondary benefit. It's not the primary benefit. What is the primary result? The primary result is to get Krishna Prem, Bhagavad Prem, and the devotional service in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. An example is being presented with the sun. When the sun illuminates, sun rises in the world, what it does, it illuminates the world. When the sun rises, it illuminates the world. So everywhere there is light. There is no darkness. Nothing is there. So everything is visible in their real nature and giving delight to one and all by bestowing light and energy. So the main benefit of sunrise is to get energy, is to get light. And if we know, we can see that if the sun is not rising, people get depressed. So sun is very important. At times, even in the country like India, because of the extreme winters or the foggy weather, at least for 2-3 days, you will not be able to see sun, and then people, they get tired. So it's very important. So anyhow, here it says, when the sun rises, what is happening? It illuminates the world. Making everything visible in its real nature. Now, no manipulation, no adulteration. Whatever appears is completely real and natural. That's why we can see even many people, they prefer more natural light than the artificial light. But what happens? Incidentally, secondarily, it dispels darkness. So it's the main idea of sunrise is not to dispel darkness. It is to give the light, to give energy. In the same way, let the holy name of Sri Hari, we already heard few times. What is the holy name? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, the holy name, this Maha Mantra, is the benefactor of the world by glorified. The holy name is like rising of the sun, destroying all the darkness, and in the same way, its manifestation removes all the sins of the world. That is the speciality of the holy name. It appears and removes the ignorance. Darkness means ignorance. When the holy name manifests, what it does, it destroys all the sins and sinful reactions and gives liberation, removes ignorance. And what it is giving, the main thing the holy name is bestowing is pure love in the lotus feet of the Lord. Haridas Thakur requested the Pandits the scholars present there to explain the above shloka. They, on the contrary, insisted on Haridas Thakur himself to do it for the benefit of all. So Haridas Thakur wanted them to explain, but they requested him that you please explain. The reason is, knowledge is not going to bring realization, but devotion is going to bring realization. Haridas Thakur, because he has been chanting the holy name, he is the Acharya of the Namacharya. So his realizations about the holy name are much on elevated state as compared to any others who has gone through these books, philosophies, and those who heard. So when we hear, we get inspired. When we hear, we get inspired to surrender, and when we surrender, then only we can realize. So when we hear from the bona fide source, what is happening, we feel ourselves, we feel the inspiration to surrender to the holy name and to take up the chanting of the holy name. When we keep on chanting the holy name, what is happening? We will start realizing the glories of the holy name. That is the speciality, that is the possibility. So that's why all these scholars, because they are not foolish people, they are scholars. So they wish to listen from Haridas Thakur. They wished to listen from Haridas Thakur. They wanted to listen from Haridas Thakur and requested him to, you please speak for the benefit of the world. What he says, agreeing, accepting their request, now Haridas Thakur has accepted to speak. And what he is saying, so what he says, if we take the raising of the sun, it is an excellent example to illustrate our view. Even before the sun actually rises above the eastern horizon, we see all the darkness being slowly dispelled. We can see this when even the sun rises, just before the sun is rising, we can see that the darkness is no more existing, it is dispelled, it disappeared. So, fear of all the evil elements. What are those evil elements? Thieves, demons, evil spirits, which haunt the people in the night. People, they are haunted by these evil spirits, especially in the night. They all are totally removed when the actual appearance of the sun and also other kinds of purposes are also achieved. Not only about the fear, whatever is necessary, that is also happening, all those necessary purposes are also achieved when the sun is rising. We can understand this. Similarly, the dawning of the appearance of the holy name dispels all the sins of the aspirant as its secondary result, and by the full blooming of the name, unflinching love at the feet of Sri Krishna is achieved. So we can understand, before like the sun is rising, we can feel the atmosphere, and that time darkness disappears, and not only the darkness disappears, even the effect of the evil spirits and all other things what we have heard. everything, even the thieves also, they come and try to rob in the middle of the night, but during early morning even they also just become calm, because now everything starts to visible, everything we can see everything clearly. So that's why they also run that time. So there is no fear. Night time to go out somewhere, it's so scary. But when the sun rises, we can see everything very clear. Then there is no more problem. So when the sun completely rises, whatever essential elements are there, whatever useful purposes are there, they all are achieved. Before the sun rises, all these unwanted elements, effects of all these unpleasant elements, they all disappear, and when the sun rises, whatever is our purpose, that is achieved. In the same way, even before the holy name appears completely, what happens? All our sinful reactions, everything are disappeared. We can understand, it's mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, what happens in the level of sadhana bhakti. Kleshagni Shubhada, all the miseries, they disappear in sadhana bhakti only. While practicing only, we become completely free from all the sinful, all the miseries of life. And now bhav has to come, prem has to come. Only in the state of prem, it is mentioned, Sandrananda Visheshatma Sri Krishna Karshani Chisa. You attain the quality of attracting Krishna only in the level of prem, not in the level of sadhana bhakti. There, but even before the Lord appears completely in the heart of the person, aspirant, what happens is all those miseries, they disappear. Those threefold miseries, they disappear and they don't exist anymore. In the same way, what it is said in the same way, even before the holy name appears completely, all these sinful reactions, they disappear as its secondary result, not the primary result. What is the primary result? Primary result is to get unflinching love in the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Mukti or salvation is an insignificant result that an aspirant can derive by the mere dim reflection of the Nama. So this mukti, liberation, that can be easily achieved, that can be very easily achieved by the dim reflection of the Nama, which means Nama Bhas. Now we are not even chanting the holy name. After that, those who are the people with ulterior motives, karmi kind of people, they do namaparat. And then there is a category of people, those who do namabhas. And then there are pure devotees who chant Shuddhanam. Now we don't try for namabhas. We don't try for namabhas, we actually try for Shuddhanam. We try for Shuddhanam, pure Nam. So that's why when a person is trying to chant pure Nam from the state of Namaparat, then the Tatastha which is seen is Namabhas. Namabhas is in the middle, from where Namaparad is on the other side and Shuddhanam is on the other side. Shuddhanam is on the other side. So what it is said is, liberation is possible, which is insignificant result, which is the insignificant result of the holy name. So that's why that we call as namabhas. As a result of namabhas, we get liberation. Sincere devotees of the Lord, they are least bothered about this mukti, liberation. Even though it is offered to them by the Supreme Lord Himself, maybe the Lord may desire and Lord may offer them Lord may offer them this liberation, but the devotees would not accept liberation. They will only desire for bhakti. That's why when your love for the Lord is becoming deeper, what you realize is moksha laguta krit. Liberation is insignificant. Laguta means insignificant. Sudurlabha. What is very rare is to get divine service in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That's why a devotee only aspire for pure devotion, but not mukti, not bhukti or anything else. He doesn't want anything else. Now, when the dying Ajamil, by unintentionally uttering the name of Sri Hari, while calling his son by his name, could attain Vaikuntha Dham. What this person did, Ajamil, who was on the deathbed, unintentionally, he never had any such intention that he has to call the Lord, but he was uttering the name of the Lord. He was uttering the name of the Lord which he has given to his last son. He had 10 sons. Among them, the last one was named Narayan, upon the instruction of some wandering monks. So, he gave the name Narayan, and then every day, because he is the most smallest son, so Ajamil had strong attachment for him, and Ajamil keep on calling out his name Narayan, 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 Narayan all the time. And now when the death has come close to him, he could only see the small boy Narayan playing in a distance. And Ajamil started shouting and then calling out loudly for Narayan. What happened? His voice reached the Lord. And then Vishnu Dutas have come, the messengers of the Lord has come and then rescued Ajamil. After that, Ajamil has attained the Vaikuntha, the abode of the Lord. So it said, how much more beneficial would the result be? We can't even imagine if the holy name is chanted itself with implicit faith. If you have that faith and then if you chant the holy name, what kind of benefit you will be getting, that's beyond your imagination. That can't be comprehended. My own devotees, the devotees of the Lord, they never accept any kinds of liberation. That is, we have to understand. A pure devotee never demands any kind of liberation. They don't want liberation. Like Sayujya Mukti, Samipya, Salokya, Sarishti, all those 5 kinds of liberations are not at all desired by the devotees of the Lord. They never want to be one with the Lord. What they want, except the loving devotional service of the Lord, they need nothing. Devotees, they desire nothing other than the loving devotional service. When Srila Haridas Thakur said this, because he was glorifying the holy name, so when he said this, of course, in this world, it is an amazing world. For everything, you will definitely find a kind of opposition. Some people you will definitely find who try to oppose whatsoever you say. So they are least bothered. So they just have to oppose and then that's it. That is what they'd like to do. So when Srila Haridas Thakur made such statement, there was an opposition. There was an opposition from one of the scholarly persons because this world is designed in such a way that there is even like there is an opposition for the words of the Lord also, and what to talk of his devotees, because we have this independence. Jiva has the relative independence, and also Jiva has the nature to misuse its relative independence. So they always have this nature of challenging the authority. They like to challenge the authority, the scriptures, authority, everything whatsoever it is, they like to challenge. So now what happens is, this person, this Brahmin, he is employed and his name is Gopal Chakravarti. He used to carry the money and the letters to the rulers who are residing in his capital at Gaud, because it's Gaudadesh and in the region of Gaud, to those Nawabs. And now what he says, he could not tolerate the views of Haridas Thakur. And what he is saying, he says how it is possible that simply by the dim reflection of the holy name that liberation can be attained only by Namabhas. How it is possible? He shouted actually. And what he says? He says to the learned scholars that you people have just heard what this person who is sentimentalist is just sentimental, that's all. So in a realized state, to make such a statement is not possible. So the statement he has made out of the sentiment. He is just a sentimentalist. That's why he is making this statement that liberation, how it is possible, which is not so easy to attain by means of knowledge. As we all know that to attain liberation is not so easy. Or to attain the position of Brahman is not so easy. Even in Brihad Bhagavatamrita also it is mentioned. That's why when Mukti Devi, Mukti, liberation, likes to take shelter of bhakti, because for devotees it's not needed, but Mukti wants to be blessed. So Mukti takes shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Of the devotees of the Lord. So what does the Mukti do? Mukti takes shelter. If not, it was rejected, simply rejected. So what it is said, the Mukti which is not easily attained by the great knowledgeable personalities, how it is possible? Simply by the mere dim reflection of the holy name. And you make a statement that it is so cheaply attained. For the people, those who are following the path of knowledge, the one which is very rare to be obtained, and you say that it is very cheaply attained, and then the people, they don't want it. How it is possible? And it's a question, because one who has no knowledge about the holy name, for him it's a question. We can understand, like Vasistha, he invited Valmiki to his, Vasistha, he invited Vishwamitra to his place. Before that, Vishwamitra has invited Vasistha. I think it's too hot inside. Maybe we can put some air. 1 minute, please. So, well, Vishwamitra, he invited Vasistha to his place for lunch one time. And as Vasistha visited his place, so after the prasadam, the offering was made, then now it's time to offer some donation. It is the custom that when we invite someone and then host the person, we offer them some prasad, means some food, something we serve them. And after that, we offer them some donation, dakshina. That is very important, one of the very important ritual, one of the very important act which a person has to perform. Well, when Vishwamitra invited Vasistha to his place, he gave him the result of 500 years of his tapasya, austerity. And after that, they both left as an obligation, as a matter of respect. Now it's the turn of Vasistha to invite Vishwamitra to his home. So Vasistha and Mother Arundhati, they hosted him. They made nice, delicious dishes. They served him with all of them. And after that, what Vasistha did, he offered Vishwamitra the result of a moment of sadhusanga. When it was done, it hurt the ego of Vishwamitra, that how can Vasistha offend me by doing this? He offended me. It's totally injustice. I gave him the result of 500 years of my austerity. And what he has done, he just gave me a moment of, the result of a moment of sadhusanga. What is this? How cheap it is. Finally, he approached Brahma and then to Shiva. He was so upset. And then finally, all of them went to Anantadev. They all approached Anantadev because they don't know what is the benefit. Then Anantadev, he says to Vishwamitra that I am carrying huge load on my head, this earth, these planets. Can you please hold on for a moment so that I can easily, in a relaxed mood, I can speak few words to you. He said, okay, please give me. Vishwamitra, now he is trying to carry the earth. It was too difficult for him. Then he tried to put all his energy and still it's becoming difficult. Anantadev asks him, anything else you have? He said, a moment of sadhusanga, the result of a fruit of a moment of sadhusanga is there, which was donated to me by Vasistha. He said, add it. The moment he did it, immediately the earth has become like a mustard seed in the hands of Vishwamitra. He was so surprised. Then Anantadev, he says, do you still need to know what is the speciality, what is the importance of sadhusanga, what is the importance of chanting the holy name in the association of sadhus? Like that. What I mean to say is, a person in a conditioned state may not be able to understand because he is in conditioned state. So may not be able to understand even simply by reading the scriptures, reading books. No one can understand the glories of the holy name. It can be experienced only once a person sincerely starts chanting, sincerely trying to utter the holy name, then only it is possible. Unless it's never possible. That is the speciality we have to understand. That is what we have to understand. So now, what is happening now? He could not understand. So that's why he was surprised. And then he says, it's all sentimental thing. For Brahman realization, for the liberation, many people, great personalities have to sit and meditate for many lifetimes. Still, they are not sure whether it is attained or not. And it's such great perfection of life can be easily attained, so cheaply attained, only by the dim reflection, means only by the namabhas. Not even Shuddha Nam, just by namabhas. How it is possible? Haridas Thakur answered the criticism by freely quoting the Shastras. Once again, he established his previous statement with sufficient emphasis, basing his claim on the authority of the scriptures to the entire satisfaction of the audience. Haridas Thakur, a pure devotee, doesn't make any statement out of some strange sentiments or emotions. They follow the authority. Tasmas Shastra Pramana. They follow the scriptural evidences, quotes. And in fact, even though if they don't follow any scriptures but only follow the words of the spiritual master and performs bhajan, then also when they realize the God, then whatever they speak, that becomes Shastra. Because Ved means knowledge. Ved means the Lord. That's why the Lord says, Vedescha sarvam ahamaiva vedya. Vedanta krit. I am the composer of Vedas. Means I am the composer of the knowledge. Knowledge is not created by anyone. Knowledge is I myself. And if there is something known to be known through the knowledge, is me only. I am to be known. That's so special. He says, Vedescha sarvam ahamaiva vedya. Veda means knowledge. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Veda refers to knowledge. A person who is associating with the spiritual master, he is the possessor of knowledge. A person who is following the spiritual master, he is the possessor of the Supreme Lord. Lord becomes easily attainable for the person who is sincerely surrendered in the lotus feet of Sri Guru. So that's why here we have to understand, a pure devotee, when he has God realization, each and every word he speaks becomes a Shastra. Like Dhruv Maharaj, which school he had gone to take education. He was so small boy and he was thrown out by his stepmother Suruchi. Feeling so much of pain in his heart, he left his home. Such a small boy. And now he is chanting the holy name of the Lord under the instructions of Narad Goswami. At one point, when he has attained perfection, when the Lord appeared in front of him, the moment the Lord appeared, Dhruv Maharaj has attained perfection in knowledge also. That's why he has made a most wonderful prayer. The prayers made by Dhruv Maharaj, which was not even expected by a great rishis and yogis also. That is the speciality. We don't need to learn anything. Everything is revealed. Swayameva spuritada. Naturally everything is revealed. Whatever is revealed, that is the truth. But revealed and in the state when we have fully surrendered to Sri Guru. When we have surrendered to the holy name, then only they are revealed to us. Unless they are not revealed, we may think, we may assume, we may speculate, but everything goes wrong, everything goes in vain at one point. Nothing remains after that. What happens? Only thing happens, that is the Supreme Lord. When He becomes merciful, and the knowledge about the God, the divine knowledge that descends. So that's why Haridas Thakur, he is of course well versed in all the scriptures. At the same time, he has quoted several injunctions from the scriptures to justify whatever he is saying. It's not just by sentiments, it's not just by emotions, it's the authority which gives such injunctions. And then all these audience were completely satisfied. But this arrogant young man, Gopal Chakravarti, he doesn't want to accept anything. So what he is saying, he is a person who takes pleasures in argument. When you make an argument, whatever, such people, there are fools. In the earlier days, it was totally a different environment. It was totally a different mood in the olden days. What was that? They used to make some argument, debate, and if they find the genuine answers in the debate by the opposite person, immediately they would respectfully accept it. They would respectfully accept it and surrender to the person. They used to have debate very logically, in a very systematic way. They were never having an arguments, baseless arguments. But there are some people, they are ignorant, foolish people. Even after you quote from the bona fide scriptures, still they have something to point out and to blame. And they think that we are intellectuals, but actually they don't understand that we are stupids. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Pranipaten, Pariprashnen Sevaya. We should have the mood of pariprashna, humble inquiry. If we are approaching, means we should have a very humble approach. We can't be arrogant, and we can't go on speculating, and we can't go about comparison of statements. There are some places where people, they are so special. What they do, they ask one question from one acharya, and again after some time, if some other goes, some preacher or some acharya or someone, again they quote the same question, and then try to they try to understand, and then they try to judge. In fact, if you try to know the opinion of different acharyas and try to understand for yourself, for better understanding, then it is okay. But when you approach two different personalities and take their opinions and become judgmental, then that is very harmful. There are such kind of people in this world. And sometimes we get the chance to interact with such sweet people. So anyhow, well, this person, this young person, because of course young person have hot blood, and also young person, so a spirit is totally different. So their way of thinking is different. They try to be more arrogant, and they consider themselves to be more special, more knowledgeable. Because the world is like that only. What can be done? It's not it's not individual fault. It is the nature of the youth to make some strange arguments, especially if they are not fully devoted. Some people, they have genuine arguments. Some people, most of the people, they have some foolish, illogical arguments. Only try to look down others or to show themselves to be more smart. And now what he did, he was making an argument. Then Srila Haridas Thakur, he was asking him, well, why do you challenge the scriptures only to entertain a doubt in you? By challenging the scriptures, what you are doing, you are only entertaining doubts in you. We should not challenge the scriptures, we have to follow the scriptures. That's why, what is the authority? Then Shabda is the authority, word is the authority. Shabda Praman. Then all the scriptures are the Praman. Before Shabda Praman used to come as Karna Parampara. Is through Karna Parampara. Later, they need to be articulated, like inscribed, because of the memory of this current generation people, because of the memory of Kali Yuga people. There was a big fear of manipulating the content. So Vyasadeva has to very kindly inscribe them and present them for us. If not, before that, all of them were coming in in the form of Shruti and Smriti. Karna Parampara, what you hear from your spiritual master and what you remember, and that is being carried forwarded. Like that. So that's why Shabda Praman. That's why the Shabd is being heard by the Guru and it descends to the disciple, again from the disciple to the disciple, disciple to the disciple, and the word is being spread in that way. During the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited South India and then he stayed as a host in the house of Sri Gopal Venkatapata, who was the father of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. There also he was preaching, he was conveying his doctrines, and which was later propagated by ear to ear. It's why in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that listening from one person to other person in this way, so many people have transformed their life and became devotees. So they used to listen, Karna Parampara, through the word coming through the ears. Later it has come in the form of scriptures. Before it was not there. And when it appeared in the form of scripture, then also the Lord has to send. The Lord has to empower the personality. And finally Vyasadeva, he is the Shaktiavesh avatar of the Supreme Lord. Lord has empowered him and then empowered him with the divine knowledge, empowered him with devotion, and then made him compose all the scriptures. That's why the Lord himself in the form of word is Srimad Bhagavatam, the topmost among all the literature, all the scriptural literature. So that's why when we doubt the Shastras, because Pratyaksha means what we see, Anuman what we speculate, and then all these evidences, all these proofs, all these are not considered as the real authority, are not considered bona fide. So what is considered bona fide? Shabda Praman means like the mother is introducing the child to his father, that he is your father. Who can be the best authority other than the mother to introduce father? In the same way, the scriptures, they are like the mother, they are introducing the Lord to the Jiva. So there is no other personality. There is no other personality who can glorify or explain the glories of the Lord and introduce the Jiva to the God. So when we want the relation between the Spirit and the Supreme Lord to be awakened, then what we have to do? We have to take shelter of the Shastras, of the knowledge. Then only it is revealed. So he says, have no doubt. If you have doubt, that will be the biggest problem for you. Why that will be problem for you? Because you won't be able to be free. You will have a doubt. When you have a doubt in your mind all the time, how you can be happy? Not possible. And also, it's not my individual opinion. Whatever I am saying is not my opinion. So you may think that it's my opinion, but it's not true. There is no point that I would like to impose my opinion on you. That's not possible. I have no desire to impose my opinion on you, and it's not my opinion. It is what the Shastras that are common to both of us have declared it. Shastras are neutral. They are common to everyone. So he says that the Shastras which are common to both of us, they declared it. So, and also, they in addition has pointed out, what they have pointed out, those scriptures, the insignificant position of the bliss attained by the liberation. And in comparison with the perennial flow of happiness, of bliss in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So when we talk about the loving devotional service, liberation is considered totally insignificant. The pleasure of the pleasure of liberation is completely insignificant in comparison with in front of the flow. The desire for liberation is like stagnant water, but the attainment of bliss of loving devotional service to the Lord is like a flowing river. There is a constant flow. So when there is a constant flow with a huge current, then the water is always fresh and clear. But when the water remains in one place, then it's like stagnant. Such waters are never good. Such waters are never interesting. Maybe a person who is in thirst, it may be useful for the person to quench his thirst, but it's ultimately not going to give any kind of pleasure to the person. So what he says here, it is simply an account of this fact. So it's simply an account of this fact that the genuine devotees, that the true devotees, bhaktas, they never anchor for any kind of liberation which is prescribed or mentioned in the scriptures, even if the Lord himself wants to give them. Lord wants to give them, but the devotee doesn't want to take it. Devotee doesn't want to take it. He says, I don't want liberation. Why would I take liberation? O teacher of the universe, to me, immersed in the pure ocean of bliss by meeting So here it is said What it is said? Mukhani Goshpadante Brahmanapi Jagadguru. What he says, that for me, immersed in the pure ocean of bliss, what in front of that, the attainment of Brahman that appears to thee, how it appears, like when the calf is walking. A calf is walking, or maybe the cow is walking, and the hoof of the cow, when it is kept inside the mud, and the amount of hole which is made, and though you fill the water in that hole, whatever amount of water is gathered there, and whatever it is useful for the person to quench his thirst, it's totally considered insignificant. It is not going to give any kind of pleasure, it's not going to give any kind of satisfaction. It's not going to give any kind of satisfaction or pleasure. When I try to understand about the bliss I can attain in the loving devotional service of the Lord. Of course, when we talk about the worldly pleasures which are completely insignificant, liberation is much higher. Liberation is considered much higher. But when I experience the vast ocean of bliss in the loving devotional service of the Lord, then for me the liberation appears to be completely insignificant, meaningless. How can I convince you? How can I tell you? But this is the fact. That's why a devotee who is actually relishing the loving service of the Lord doesn't anchor for anything which is insignificant, because if you want to get something as it is there, rasavarjam rasapyasya param drishtva nivartate, where naturally you would like to go for the higher mellow when you see something which is insignificant in front of you. While a sincere devotee who has taken shelter of the holy name, when he is chanting the holy name, he is devoted to the holy name. For him, the pleasure he experiences while chanting the holy name is actually much, much, much higher than any kinds of liberation. That's why even the Lord himself provides them liberation. A devotee would never desire, a devotee would never aspire to take liberation. This is what Srila Haridas Thakur is trying to explain to the person. He says, not possible. And you unnecessarily make an argument which is not sensible. Haridas Thakur reply did not cool down his temper. What to do? As we have already discussed, crazy people and such kind of people, they are never peaceful. They always find a way to argument, they always find a way to debate, to fight. Because they don't believe in the Shastras, they don't believe in the speaker, they only have their own concoctions in their mind. So whatever they have concocted, like I remember one time, I would like to say one incident, quite few years ago, maybe in 2007 or 8, I have been to one city in India, Ahmedabad. It's a nice place. So during my program, my stay in Ahmedabad, I was having one program. And now after the program, one person has come to me asking a question about, he says about, can you please say something about Adi Shakti? So now what happens, we were discussing and his family members were there, some outside people were there. He was like rubbing his feet like this and then talking to me, because in India we don't sit on chairs. So it was like people there sitting on the floor and then he raised his feet and started rubbing, means it's a kind of aggressive mood which he was presenting there. And after that he started to make some argument. At one point I found it completely baseless, and I asked him, I am thankful to you for your wisdom, what you think, but I just want to have some scriptural evidence about what you are speaking. Immediately he came up that I saw one television serial, and in the serial it is completely different what is being shown and what you are speaking. And people looked at his face and they wanted to, maybe the expression of the people was same like they want to spit on his face now. Because people, they don't hesitate to debate or argument depending on their own concoctions, even at the cost that they have never read any scriptures or never heard any authority speaking, simply by these television serials, or maybe people, those who are platform speakers, listening from them also. One time one person came in the train and then started argumenting, saying why Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why can't Shiva, why can't Durga, why can't this, why can't that? Again you try to explain, and then they have their own kind of ideas. So there are people, such people. So this Gopal Chakravarti is one kind of person. We don't need to be discouraged or disappointed. Even there are people who have disagreement with Srila Haridas Thakur even after so nicely explaining. How can we imagine that if someone has made up his mind that I don't want to accept anything, and then we try to explain and he will understand. So anyhow, Srila Haridas Thakur tried, but that person could not calm down. So what happened next, we shall discuss tomorrow. Thank you very much. Jai Radhe Shyam.